What is going on, Crisis Actors? It is episode 974 of Pop Culture Crisis. My name is Brett, and I am here once again with my co-host. Would you introduce yourself, please?
Hello, Crisis Actors. It's Mary. As you know from last episode, we had a couple of technical difficulties, which hopefully will be resolved by the end of the week. I'm going to get a new microphone, and we're just coping for now. Just got to get through the show. We're making content. It is what it is. I think we're gonna be okay though. I think I just needed to update my audio. That was at the end of the show. Yes, not yesterday, Monday. So I think we'll be good.
All right. Well, I wasn't even going to mention anything because I feel like that just it literally speaks it into existence. That's the way I look at all that. It's like
no, that you're thinking about it as like voodoo magic.
Yes, I am.
It's not magic. It's technology. It's supposed to work, right? It's a microphone. Like the one thing it's supposed to do is make it so you guys can hear me, which I think you can. So I have faith. And I don't think anything is going to go terribly wrong today.
Is this like your pitch for me to finally start going to church? It's like, Brett, if you had a little faith right now, you might not be so upset every time we have tech issues.
Yeah. You know, I wish that I could come up off the top of my head with a saint that you could get intercession from for technical difficulties. Yeah. In fact, let me look that up because I'm sure there are multiple.
Is there a patron saint of tech issues? That's got to be a real thing, right? Well, while you look that up, guys, hit the like button on this video and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Remember to share these episodes out with your friends, your family, your loved ones, everybody in your life that you both love and hate. It never gets old to tell you that. The more people that you share it with, the faster this channel can grow. You should share it, especially with the people that you disagree with, and then you guys can argue about it in the comments section, and then we will get more engagement, and we will grow bigger and bigger and bigger, and it will be fantastic. So, did you find anything there? Is there anything?
I have the answer. Yes.
What is the answer?
So, there are a couple possibilities. Saint Isidore of Seville is widely recognized as a patron saint of the internet and technology as of his designation in 1997 by Pope John Paul II. And then you also have Saint Clare, recognized as the patron saint of televisions and screens, making her an intercessor for issues related to electronic devices and display problems. And don't we have plenty of those? So Saint Clare, pray for us. Saint Isidore, pray for us.
That is perfect. Also, since we're going to admit that this is not voodoo magic, I'm going to speak something else into existence, which is the bells that I kept hearing earlier. My hope is that we don't hear any bells.
Yeah, there were some bells tolling earlier, which could be a bad omen, but I hope that those are also gone for good.
I do feel like this is one of those things where it's like every day you're just tested more and more and more. It's like, how long until you break?
You just have to surrender it, you know?
It's death by 1,000 cuts. It's never the big things, right? It's always the little things that get you day in and day out. Guys, we got a bunch of stuff to get into today. So what are we talking about? Well, we talked about it a little bit yesterday, and obviously it came up more on Monday. The kind of rousing success of The Housemaid in theaters has prompted Hollywood to do what Hollywood always does in these situations, which is they're going to make a sequel, The Housemaid's Secret, which we are going to talk about. Sydney Sweeney has proven that it is, in fact, the lesbian boxing movies that are the problem and not her. So we are going to discuss it. We're also going to discuss the difference between what would have been called back in the day the high-maintenance women and the rise of the chill girl. That is like trademark chill girl. In the age of Trump's second administration, you know, we're kidnapping dictators. We're doing all this stuff. There's ICE agents shooting people in the Midwest right now as we speak. Oof. And it's yeah, I know, right? And it's prompting women to just not talk about politics for fear of their male counterparts who are being emboldened by Trump's second term. So we're going to discuss it. We are also going to talk about the most important debate you could possibly have in all of society today. There is no other. Is it acceptable to wear pajamas at the airport? I'm sure you have thoughts. You should share those thoughts right now. In fact, you should send us a super chat.
I have evolving thoughts on this, which I'll express later, but I used to be on the wrong side of history.
Okay.
I'll admit.
We got that. We got a bunch of other stuff. If you're ready, Mary, we can get started. Are you ready?
Yeah, let's go.
Then let's go for it.
Okay, guys. So I was particularly looking forward to the beginning of 2026 because I thought we could finally, as a society, break free from the shackles of Stranger Things, this god-awful show that has been holding us hostage since the Obama administration was finally over as of New Year's Eve. The finale came out, and finally everyone could shut up about this franchise. And unfortunately, both the fan base and the showrunners, the Duffer Brothers, are making that impossible. Because I have seen tons of discussion about the series still taking over my timeline for days upon days. Mainly fans who cannot cope with accepting the way that the show ended. They have now come up with a conspiracy theory and have fallen into full schizophrenia, full mass psychosis.
It's full QAnon.
Yeah, they're going full QAnon, and they believe this conspiracy theory, which is now called Conformity Gate, which essentially means there is a secret lost finale episode that has yet to be released. They thought it would be released today. It's nowhere to be seen.
Yeah, it was supposed to come out the 7th.
That actually, it reestablishes the canon of the show. The conspiracy consists of the finale being an illusion created by the show's main antagonist, Vecna, and the true ending will be released in a secret episode 9, which was supposed to release yesterday.
Before we get into
rather
all
today
that,
at midnight.
Yeah, before we get into all that, I do want to point out that from what I saw on my timeline, the majority of the people in the space that I'm in were either very good, like liked it a decent amount, or at the very least didn't hate it. Like, I did not see a whole ton of hatred for the finale. At least that's purely a anecdotal piece of evidence just on my side of the internet, which you could actually make the argument, if you were trying to steel man the argument, is people are going to say that people on my side of the internet are always complaining about everything. But I didn't see a whole lot of complaints for this. I saw some people who were like, it was okay, but I saw a lot of people that really, really liked it. But that's just my take on it. We got a 20 there from Shane H. Wilder. If you can see that one. Is it showing up there?
I don't think so.
I will do my best to read. We all know that that's a disaster waiting to happen.
Go for it.
Shane H. Wilder says, y'all could always go with the big dog and pray to Saint Gabriel the Archangel. Is it Perrin? I think he meant patron saint of communications, and then throw a prayer to Saint Carlo Acutis as well. Go to church, Brett. Well, thank you for that.
We're intercession maxing on this episode of Pop Culture Crisis. So, to what you were saying, I think it's actually the most dedicated fans of Stranger Things who are the most upset about the finale, whereas the casuals who actually have lives outside of binge watching on Netflix seem to actually be okay with the way it ended.
Yeah.
The fans are upset for multiple reasons, which I'll get into in a second. But the first reply that I saw to this conspiracy theory said, imagine the ending of your show is so nothing burger that fans start thinking it's fake. And Forbes stepped in to correct the record, confirming that Conformity Gate is not real. And the name appears to reference the idea that the Stranger Things ending we got was safe, without many twists or turns, and hard questions were left up to interpretation by viewers, according to the showrunners, the Duffer Brothers.
Unfortunately,
and
this feels a lot like the Snyder Bros, who are going through their own form of like weird pareidolia, where every time Zack Snyder posts an old photo from the making of his DC movies, they're like, this is clearly a sign that he is bringing back the Snyderverse. He's going to go work with Netflix. It's going to be amazing because Netflix is buying Warner Brothers. And they're like looking for clues in it. And I just feel bad for them a little bit.
Yeah. It's reaching Swiftie levels, except when the Swifties look for clues, they're usually right.
Yeah.
One of the points of evidence that they cited was a scene where they throw dice down in Dungeons and Dragons that added up to the number 43, which possibly references a 43rd episode of the show.
That is also a Taylor Swift type thing. It would be a bunch of stuff adding up to what? Is it 13 for Taylor Swift that everything ends up to, or is it a different number? I always forget. There's
13 is her favorite number, yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. There are too many of these to debunk. The most vocal supporters of this idea are centered around one concept in fandom. They are so-called bilers, shippers who believed the show would and should end with characters Will and Mike in a romantic relationship.
So that's what it's really about. It's about the lack of the ship they had getting what they wanted.
So they allowed you to see the scene where Will Byers comes out as gay, which obviously happened because Noah Schnapp in real life is gay, so they had to cater to his whims.
What if they had redone it and he came out as a Zionist? That would have been even more funny.
Guys, I don't like Palestine. I don't like Palestinians.
And that's why I'm
just like you. I just don't like Palestinians.
And that's why he's going to beat Vecna, is because by the power of Netanyahu, they will win.
And then Mike, played by Finn Wolfhard, actually, I'm gonna just spoil it because it's been enough.
Spoiler alert! Yesterday on the show.
Spoiler alert.
Yesterday on the show, Charles gave the spoiler alert after the spoiler, so we're gonna try to not do that.
That's not how you do it. Yeah. But to spoil it for you, mute me for a second if you don't want to know. But Mike didn't end up with 11 at the end, even though they had a relationship in the series, because it was ambiguously implied that 11 died at the end. I'm not sure what to make of that. They kind of left it open-ended where, like, you're not sure if she lived, sort of thing.
I'm okay with that. I'm okay with ambiguity with finales. I do. Like, I actually am more in the same vein as we feel like a lot of the creators today. Like, when people talk about The Boys, they hammer you over the head about how it's supposed to be interpreted and that there's only one proper conclusion. I know that some people, especially in writing circles, would consider it a cop-out to go the ambiguous route for finales, but I don't have a problem with that.
Okay, but what I can't tolerate is the things that the Duffer Brothers are saying in all of these interviews for the series. They're doing promotion right now and are absolutely fumbling it. And that's why fans are so furious at them. And they're even making things personal. Some of the Stranger Things fans are blaming the finale on Ross Duffer's divorce from Lee Janiak, who you told me a lot of people believe she was ghostwriting the series, and once they split up, she was no longer around to steer the ship.
Yeah,
not sure what to make of that.
They were comparing it in the same way to George Lucas's wife doing the uncredited edits to the first Star Wars movie. And that just, if I'm being honest, it felt like feminist cope that they're like, I could be wrong.
Well, I mean, I'm
recently
guessing
that
she did have some input here and there.
Yes, I'm sure.
How would she not?
Yeah.
I mean, it's sort of like Greta Gerwig and Noah Baumbach.
Yeah.
You know, they wrote Barbie together, but Greta Gerwig got all of the credit. One of the answers that the Duffer Brothers gave in an interview about the finale, people kept asking, why weren't there any Demogorgons in the final fight? Why was it just Vecna? It doesn't make any sense. And they said, what?
Go ahead.
Well, they said mainly it's just that Vecna was not expecting this sneak attack on his home turf. Never in a million years could he even imagine that. So the Demogorgons are there somewhere. Like, they're just being non-committal in all of their answers. One of the fans said, it's so embarrassing how these interviewers keep asking questions that viewers want answered because of the expansive plot they've created. And every answer the Duffers give is, I guess, or it's up to the audience. And eventually Matt Duffer had to come out and basically tell people to leave him alone and stop, spitting invective at him online for the things he's saying in these interviews. He regrets doing a lot of these post-finale interviews back to back. He said, I'm not in a good place. Like, why the hell did we do any of them yesterday is beyond me. I'm like fried. I was getting over the flu. So anyone mad at any answers we gave you yesterday, just cut me some slack.
He's literally just throwing his hands up in the air.
He's like, I'm just a girl. Like, Your Honor, I'm just a girl.
To the point I made earlier, there was also a story about this recently where James Cameron claims that he wrote the movie Point Break that his wife, Catherine Bigelow, directed. But because of the way that the Writers Guild of America is structured, he didn't get the credit for it. And I had a post recently where I like earlier this winter where I pointed out that James Cameron, he lost to his wife at the Oscars one year. and in like 2009 or 2010, and people were like kind of I was actually making like a point where I thought it was funny, and they were like, they thought I was making some type of feminist statement, and I wasn't. I just thought it was funny that she ended up beating him that year. But apparently he was he wrote Point Break, or at least enough of it that he feels like he should have gotten credit, but the Writers Guild wouldn't give it to him.
Stolen valor.
So who knows if that's what's going on here in Stranger Things.
Really, Conformity Gate is just another example of fandom being taken way too far, and people wrapping up so much of their own personal emotional investment in a fictional story.
Yeah. There's
to the point where they're like harassing the showrunners online after the show is over, definitively, and making up totally baseless theories saying that the finale was fake. You need to just come to grips with reality. I really feel bad for these people, because like the show that they like on Netflix is their entire personality.
Yeah, I mean, this has been true for some people in the Snyder fandom, where they believe that those projects, like one of the most damaging things that's happened that people are saying, I don't know if this is my opinion, but it kind of follows suit. I'd have to, I guess, think about it more. Is they're like the fact that we got like a Snyder cut now means people believe that there's like a super secret better cut of every movie that's ever been made, and for some reason the studios are just like, nah, we're not giving you that. And that's kind of an offshoot of this. It's an offshoot in that that's not exactly the same story as what we're looking at here, but it is a product of very, very devoted fans. But at the same time, how can the studios say no to really, really devoted fans? That's what they need if they want these projects to do well. It's just that it gets taken too far.
I saw plenty of anti-woke critiques of the Stranger Things finale and the whole finale season, really. One of them was that they kind of redesigned and rewrote Nancy in the show. She used to be this kind of demure, bookish, shy girl, and then they redesigned her into a girl boss who's like this gun-toting, mullet-wearing, like I don't know. She looked like a totally different person. So people were criticizing that.
The meme was like it showed her, and then the guy blinks, and she turns into Sylvester Stallone.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then, of course, there was a ton of backlash to the coming out scene, which felt very out of place and shoehorned into the show.
That one I did see get a lot of critique.
Yeah, and I think fairly, because they would not have written that into the show had Noah Schnapp in real life been a heterosexual actor. I fully believe that. And it mirrors the exact same thing that happened when Elliot Page transitioned in real life, and then they had to rewrite her character in Umbrella Academy to also transition in the show, even though that has zero connection to the source material. Not that it's exactly comparable, because the source material for Stranger Things is Stranger Things, but similar enough, in my opinion. And then I also saw a ton of people mocking Millie Bobby Brown for these weird facial expressions that she was making in this season. They were saying that she was like mewing. She looked like constipated, and she was like basically aura farming the whole time instead of making any discernible emotional expressions on her face the entire time.
Well, who needs to emote when you can aura farm?
Yeah. Okay. So I don't know. I'm just glad that it's over. Unfortunately, the IP is far from over. They've already announced an animated spin-off series that follows the original cast of characters without their voices, obviously. And then there's another unspecified live action spin-off with a totally different cast, which is probably going to be a disaster. And then they are also set to release this making of documentary on Netflix.
That one at least makes sense. That one at least makes sense.
Yeah, that's probably going to do okay, but the other stuff is just like,
they should wait.
I can't.
I know
have
it's
no patience for it.
I know it's antithetical to the business model, but it feels like they should wait. Like they waited a couple of years before they released before they released House of the Dragon, right? That would have made more sense to me. Like to wait a couple of years. So I don't know.
Yeah.
All right.
They're just feeding us more slop, as they usually do.
All right, let's move on. We've got more to get into.
Yeah, so it looks like open borders for OnlyFans stars overseas. They can now apply for O-1B visas, which are a relatively new visa as of 1990. It used to be that you needed to prove extraordinary artistic talent in order to qualify for this visa. And now all you have to do to prove that you're worthy of living in the United States with an O-1B is you need an army of simps. That's all you're required to have. You can be a digital sex worker with a ton of OnlyFans subscribers, and those metrics are all you need to prove that you can live in the United States and work here. This was from a report in the Financial Times. They interviewed an immigration attorney whose father actually paved the way for the O-1B visas. Back in his day, it was applying to John Lennon and Yoko Ono. And now we're talking about the likes of Bonnie Blue.
It's a bit of a downgrade.
These are the best and brightest that the world has to offer to our great country.
I mean, we could have kept John Lennon and like got rid of Yoko Ono, but that's just me.
And one of the replies said, "Open borders for sex workers seems like a joke a conservative would make at a liberal's expense. How is this real?" It certainly doesn't feel like, the right is in power when you see headlines like this. So they interviewed this guy named Michael Wilds, and his father is the one who represented John Lennon and Yoko Ono. They were his clients, and he defended them from deportation. Decades later, Michael Wilds represented some of the biggest actors and singers of his own generation, but now a growing number of those contacting him to seek visas are social media influencers and models on OnlyFans, the streaming platform for sex workers. He said, "I knew the days of representing iconic names like Boy George and Sinead O'Connor were over," as he described the shift towards what he called scroll kings and queens.
Yeah.
Hate that.
Yeah. That's a new one on me. Was that a term you had heard before? I had never heard that before.
No, I guess he came up with that himself. The number of influencers who have successfully applied for an O-1B visa reserved for exceptional creatives has exploded since the COVID-19 pandemic, according to immigration lawyers like Wilds, talent managers, and creators themselves. Some immigration attorneys said influencers now make up more than half of their clientele. They're happy to take on these clients, not only from a financial perspective, so it's self-serving, but because likes and subscriber figures are at easy metrics to quantify,
That actually
compared with the often murky process of proving exceptional ability.
That actually does make a lot of sense when you think about how much of the world is like algorithmically based now, that they're like, look, it's no longer like listen to this guy deliver his musical solo. It's like, look at this hard data that I can show you about how much reach I have. Also, this is not very America first. I was just reading this. I'm sorry. I was looking at this Instagram account of like this real estate agent who's talking about the downfall of like strip clubs in Las Vegas, how they're all becoming pickleball courts because they're because they're air-conditioned buildings, so they have a special, it's a special type of property with all of this stuff zoned to specific ways. Like, so lots of these strip clubs are going under because of the prominence now of online sex work. Nobody's going to the strip clubs anymore. He's like, so they've got built-in air conditioning, they've got parking in the front. They're being bought up by pickleball court companies. So that's at least America first. At least it's an American pickleball company, hopefully doing so. You're not displacing your American sex workers with foreign sex workers.
I mean, I guess I would prefer for people to play pickleball compared to going to a strip club, but it sounds like the reason that's happening is not a good one. It's that, they're staying home and watching OnlyFans, or they're not even going to the casinos in Vegas anymore because, of course, they're betting online.
And it's prohibitively expensive to go to Vegas now.
Right. That's going to need to change. But, what they just said there is really telling. And although you could argue that this process using social media metrics is more meritocratic, I would wholeheartedly disagree with that.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think that it takes exceptional ability or talent to gain a following online. And oftentimes it's quite the opposite. You're prioritizing people who essentially appeal to the lowest common denominator. And it actually, in my opinion, is very easy to get views online and to fake views online by buying them. So there's going to be a lot of fraud involved in this as well. One immigration lawyer they interviewed said, a layperson is very easily impressed by a large number of followers. You don't need to be a rocket scientist. Yeah, that's kind of the problem.
Well, the one part of the article, the person says, let me show you the back end of my channel, which I thought was like a dark joke for a second there. And then she's like, I'm making $250,000 a month. And the guy's like, okay, I can work with that.
Yeah, but it's like, if you're making that amount of money living overseas, wherever the hell you're from, why do you need to be here? Like, I'm still missing the argument for why any of these people should live on American soil.
Because they still understand that despite whatever amount of shade the Europeans throw our way, they still would rather be here.
They're obsessed with us. The number of O1 visas, which include the O1B arts visa and O1A for remarkable abilities in science, education, business, or athletics,
I'm guessing
granted
that's what we
year,
gave the Nazis, right? The Nazis
increased. Well, not until the 1990 Immigration Act, but granted each year increased by more than 50% between 2014 and 2024, the most recent year for which figures are available. Meanwhile, the total number of non-immigrant visas issued grew by 10% in that time period. Still, O1s make up a tiny share of non-immigrant visas awarded each year. Fewer than 20,000 were granted in 2024, less than 1/10 the number of H-1B visas granted to skilled foreign workers, which I'm also dubious of that claim. And then they mention Michael Wildes' father, who helped pave the way for the O-1B when the Nixon administration attempted to deport John Lennon in 1972. There was no dedicated visa at that time for artists, so he petitioned for him to have it as an outstanding person in the arts of sciences. And that was later formalized in the Immigration Act of 1990. The criteria for O-1Bs, which can include performing in a leading role for a distinguished production, a record of commercial success, or significant recognition from experts, have been adapted to fit online influencers. High follower counts and big earnings can be used to establish commercial success, obviously. Landing a contract to promote a certain brand can qualify as an endorsement of talent, and being featured at a store opening could be considered starring in a distinguished production. You're stretching the truth there.
What if I get hired to make TikToks on the red carpet for some movie that they send me to go see?
Okay, that's a better argument than just getting a brand deal.
Yeah.
Like, pretty much anyone can. I just saw this girl make a video who barely has a sizable following, and she just started cold emailing a bunch of beauty brands and cosmetics companies, and they just send you promo. It's not hard.
I've been seeing a lot of videos. I've been seeing like a lot of videos on that, like that recently from people on Instagram, where it's like, I sent 100 emails on my lunch break at work. I got 10 emails back and 3 brand endorsements out of that. I was like, I hope that was like a copy form email and that you weren't just like writing out an individual one for each person.
Yeah, but as it's been demonstrated, it's not difficult to get a brand deal, and it also is not an endorsement of an individual's talent as a performer. That's insane to argue that, but it's working for some people. If you think about how many people are on social media every day and how few people actually make a living from it, it really is a skill, said one immigration lawyer. I couldn't disagree more, and it might sound a bit contradictory for me to say that as someone who works in the media industry, I suppose. But what we do, I think, proves more of a skill than just making like rage bait or posting pictures of your holes on the internet. Right? Like, I think that's fair. Others worry that the shift in focus to attention-based metrics will will spill over into how traditional artists will be judged. This is a bigger problem. We have scenarios where people who should never have been approved are getting approved for O1s. It's been watered down because people are just meeting the categories. And there's now a counter argument to this, which is that immigration officers are being handed petitions where value is framed almost entirely through algorithm-based metrics. And once that becomes normalized, the system moves toward treating artistic merit like a scoreboard. Traditionally trained artists, so think of somebody who maybe is a distinguished performer in a symphony orchestra in Belgium. Like, who knows?
This is already
Are
happening.
they going to have a following on social media to prove that they're a distinguished artist?
This is already happening in the movies when Elle Fanning and them come out and say that you can't get hired for blockbuster roles if you don't have a sizable enough platform. We've already moved away from talent-based metrics and gone into data-based metrics. And the reason for that is because increasingly, the places where you make money or the places that are making the art are run by tech bros and not artists. And the artists haven't run the industry for a long time. Even before that, it was just the traditional Hollywood executive, and that was a different ecosystem entirely. So this really just feels like another offshoot of, unfortunately, the way the world works now, digitally.
Right. It's unfortunate because it means that, real artists whose work they say is central to our cultural ecosystem, but who don't necessarily benefit from social media, will find it harder to make their case. Immigration officials are being tasked with deciding who can turn online traction into a meaningful career in the U.S.
They got to start
That's a
looking
structural
at,
shift.
They got to start looking at how popular they are on Letterboxd. That's if they really want to if they really want to make their case for the immigration authorities, they have to say, look, I've got all my movies are 5 stars. Everybody loves me. I don't post on social media.
It's just like, from our perspective as Americans, I believe America is the biggest consumer of OnlyFans content in the globe. And yes, that's mainly true because our population is so large. But the OnlyFans content is largely being created and supported overseas by management companies, and American men are becoming addicted to this material and also engaging in sexual conversations with third-party employees of these management companies in like Bangladesh who are sexting them on the platform. It goes so against our national interests and against the strength of, as they said, our cultural ecosystem to prop this up. And one of the replies I saw to this kind of pissed me off. It said, imagine grinding your entire life in a foreign country to get into a great US college, land prestigious internships, and try to get a work visa to stay in the country, all to get passed up for a brainless 18-year-old with a loyal Gooner army. So this is factually wrong because the person the former example is applying for an H-1B, not an O-1B, but likely an H-1B rather than an O-1B. But aside from that, like, I don't feel bad for those people. Like, he's like, think about all of those other immigrants who deserve to be here. I'm like, no, think of the Americans. Like, shouldn't we be thinking about American interests and the people who were born here?
There's no interest.
Everything
like
has just
American
gone so
interest.
topsy-turvy. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so I think personally that they should just shut it all down. No immigration for the next 10 years.
I mean, I don't know if you're joking, but that's how I feel.
Yeah.
It's also how 90%, I believe, of attendance at the Turning Point AmFest event felt when they were polled about the issue. I think like 90% of them on a survey said that they want an immigration moratorium. And these sentiments are not being reflected by the conservative establishment, obviously, nor by the administration that they voted into power.
My take has always been that we've long since left the age of, the great American melting pot that once was. And some people say that was always a lie and that what was talked about was a propaganda in and of itself. But my argument's more from the political side of it, that what we see now is less and less of those people who come to America and want to actually assimilate and espouse the American values that we hold dear. And that's consistently been denigrated by the left as something that's stupid, and we need to be multicultural in a very different sense, where the difference is multiculturalism, at least as far as it relates to immigration, should be related to how well you assimilate to the country that you move to, which is why I always find it funny when people have the discussion about, like, and again, I've been watching old episodes of The West Wing, and the liberal propaganda. No wonder our country entered the zone that it was in after the Obama, or once we went into the Obama administration, coming off the heels of that show. But it's like they even talk in there about how it's like it's a bad thing to have a national language because it's a melting pot. We can't have a national language. That's insane. And now we have to deal with this on a completely different front, on the digital front now, where people who are coming here have even more access to cheap technology that they can use to get themselves away here. So, moratorium. Yeah.
Needless to say, I think any top earning OnlyFans creator is a glorified scam artist, because they all use chatters. All of them. They all have management companies that hire out third world employees to sext their fans on the platform. So we're literally just letting these people in who are scam artists.
All right. What would you like to see? Cringe or cute of the day?
Let's see the cute first.
Okay, we'll do the cute of the day first. Here we go. This one is from Deadman. It says, Twitch is laying here with his latest trophy from a pigeon he killed and post cleanup. Refund on the top of my desk and Indy laying on the tower. You have a cat named Refund? That's amazing.
Very cute. I hope that the pigeon wasn't brought inside.
And one
Love
more.
It.
Very cute. All right. Let's go ahead and check out the cringe. I'm going to keep my eye on the data here, but let's play this here and we will see if see how people feel about it. This is your cringe of the day. How bad is this one in comparison to some of the others?
It's pretty bad.
That's
pretty bad.
Okay.
Yeah, we've got a female simp, actually.
Right. Here we go.
For a couple months, and we were like a week out from dating, and then he decided he didn't like me anymore. Whatever. We ended on good terms. But last night I decided to be funny, so I sent him this little text, and it says availability for D appointment Thursday and Friday available 20th to 27th.
Well, the first problem is she put D appointment in one word, so it looks like deappointment.
Out of town, the unforeseeable future available. Warning comes with complimentary back scratches, free alcohol, a few jokes, uncontrollable yapping. Sorry, this was user error. And the possibility of falling in love. I also added a little note section about the Gluck like 9,000, but I want a job in the future, so I covered that. So this man didn't answer after 2 hours, so obviously I texted him again. And I said, can you not be evil for a minute and at least say this was funny and creative as fuck? I deserve recognition on this A+ work. I was so proud of my work that I sent it to ChatGPT and sent a screenshot of my text. And I said, when a guy wants nothing to do with you, but you want everything to do with him, literally. And she gave me the approval.
Where do you find this shit?
That a man would never give me. She said it was funny, witty, self-aware, genuinely clever. So she's calling me not crazy. She did kind of yuck my yum a little here, pushes him further away, not closer. But... She called me creative as hell. She said that I'm confident, that I have personality, effort. So I sound perfect. But the best compliment anyone has ever given me is saying that I'm an A+ flirt. When I read that, I was in actual tears of probably more laughter than anything, but of just flatteredness. Obviously, my creative juices kept flowing, so
Bro, it's still going.
Sent him a screenshot of what chat said, and I said, at least ChatGPT called me creative as hell and an A+ flirt. And I got no reply. I don't even need a reply at this point. This was so funny, amusing. Like, I got more entertainment out of this than I ever would with any satisfaction from a reply from him. Unless he came up with something super creative. So this is your sign that it's...
That's like an A+ in cope. That's an A+ in Cope. We're done with this. This lady's nuts.
See, this is what's wrong with ChatGPT, is that it's so sycophantic.
Yeah,
It's
it won't
going
ever tell you when
to-
you're wrong.
Yeah, it's gonna tell her like, no, yeah, guys will totally love when you send them this cringe shit. They're totally gonna love your flirting skills.
They're like, it's great. Why wouldn't you? Why wouldn't you?
Mhm.
See, what you need, we need like that person who can introduce like because I always I was like, everybody has that friend, and I hate this because it's always an excuse. The person who's like, I'm not a dick. I just tell the truth. No, usually you're just a dick, right? They are. I don't care what anybody says. They're usually just using it to be a dick. There might need to be like a ChatGPT version of that, but I don't think anybody would use it. I don't think anybody would want to have that friend who tells you the hard truth about everything.
Well, didn't they like update ChatGPT to be even more sycophantic at one point because they knew that people respond well to that?
Yeah, it's kind
When
of like
it congratulates you all the time and tells you how smart you are and how great you are at asking inquisitive questions.
So people have kind of hit this realm where they know that the best thing that they can sell when it comes to news is bad news, and the best thing they can sell when it comes to AI is sycophantic, just like affirmation.
Yeah.
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 We are. I don't know what all of this means, but I know it means nothing good. That's what I know.
And then we wonder why ChatGPT psychosis is a thing.
Yep. All right.
You
Let's
know?
move on. We've got more to get into today.
Yes, it's well established that there is a strong symbiotic relationship between BookTok and Hollywood. And the latest example of that is the huge success of The Housemaid, starring Sydney Sweeney and Amanda Seyfried. This was adapted into a script from a best-selling series that is very popular with women, specifically the so-called book lovers on BookTok. And Sydney Sweeney plays the newly hired housemaid turned into hitman in the series. And now, because of the success of this movie over the past month, making $133 million worldwide on a $35 million budget, they have now announced that a sequel is in the works where Sydney Sweeney will be returning. Amanda Seyfried will not be in the second one, though, because the journey of the housemaid continues afterwards. And it's just funny because the plot is literally like that she keeps becoming a housemaid for someone. Like, basically, she goes into a new home to liberate a battered housewife from her abusive husband by killing the husband.
I've got a description here. I looked it up on like the Amazon website. It says, I'm just going to read you some of what it says here. It's really funny.
This is for the sequel.
Yes, this is for The Housemaid's Secret. Don't go into the guest bedroom. A shadow falls on Douglas Garrick's face as he touches the door with his fingertips. My wife. She's very ill. As he continues showing me this incredible penthouse, I have a terrible feeling about the woman behind closed doors, but I can't risk losing this job, not if I want to keep my darkest secrets safe. It's hard to find an employer who doesn't ask too many questions about my past. Yes, usually the employer's job is to ask you a bunch of questions so that they make sure that they don't hire a serial killer. So I thank my lucky stars that the Garricks miraculously give me a job, cleaning their stunning penthouse with the views across the city and preparing fancy meals in their shiny kitchen. I can work here for a while, stay quiet until I get what I want. It's almost perfect, but I still haven't met Mrs. Garrick or seen the inside of the guest bedroom. I'm sure I hear her crying. I notice spots of blood around the neck of her white nightgowns when I'm doing laundry, and one day I can't help but knock on the door when it gently swings open, and what I see inside changes everything. So that gives you a general idea of where we're going here.
Yeah, so this book series has been a bestseller for like over a year consecutively every week. The most recent one in this trilogy was released back in 2024, so I'm guessing that they're going to make a third sequel in the series as well. And it's going to be incredibly successful because they're specifically targeting a female fan base, and it has a built-in fan base. I go into bookstores now and I see the Netflix logo on all of these books. because they're using it as a cross-promotional effort with the adaptations that they make. And now the HOUSEMAID book series has also jumped in popularity just thanks to the movie. So both sides win. It's a win-win. And the author, Frida McFadden, gets to be an executive producer on the projects as well.
So what they're learning here with the success of these movies, well, this movie, and then it ends with Us, and we've got the next Colleen Hoover movie coming out this year called Verity. Is that for the last 10 or 15 years, all of these books have been bought up by streaming services. And what they're learning is that there's a market for this in the theaters. They don't necessarily just have to become, extremely annoying, extremely drawn out, and extremely melodramatic TV shows. They can be made into movies, and they can pitch towards women. They don't have to be the type of thing that are these big blockbuster movies that are attempting to be 4-quadrant releases where you try to make everybody happy, and in doing so you make nobody happy. You can just make movies so that your wife can go with her best annoying girlfriend to the movies and they can go see this, or your mom can go to this movie with her friends if she's got any friends, right?
Exactly. They explain this in the Deadline piece. Lionsgate's adaptation of the 2022 HOUSEMAID has broken out as a holiday hit, taking in over 75 million domestically in its first 17 days and 133 million worldwide. And the film plunges audiences into a twisted world where perfection is an illusion and nothing is as it seems. Trying to escape her past, Millie, played by Sydney, accepts a job as a live-in housemaid for the wealthy Nina, played by Amanda Seyfried, and her husband, played by Brandon Sklenar. But what begins as a dream job quickly unravels into something far more dangerous, a sexy, seductive game of secrets, scandal, and power. Behind the Winchesters' closed doors lies a world of shocking twists that will leave you guessing until the very end. And in the epilogue scene of the first HOUSEMAID film, you see Millie interviewing for her next job, which she is destined to get, noticing the new housewife's wrist has bruises. So this is the beginning of her career as a hitman, or hitwoman rather.
It's literally just it's just Marvel for women.
Yeah, Millie is in a new job with fresh promises, though she quickly realizes that she's found herself in another dangerous household where nothing is as it seems.
It's like when Nick Fury comes and tells Tony Stark about the Avengers Initiative. This is the women are going to be pressed for this.
You're kidding me. Nothing is as it seems?
That's crazy.
Imagine my shock when nothing is as it seems.
She's now there's actually a certain amount of logic to this that I can actually buy into just enough, which is that she's got a past, so she can't seek out reputable people to be a housemaid for, which means you're more likely to end up with some abusive piece of shit who's not gonna ask too many questions. Whereas it would be even funnier if she had a perfect record, she could get any job she wants, but just somehow, there by the grace of God, every single house she goes into has some misogynistic, abusive man.
Right. So the first housewife that she liberated from abuse sends her off with a $100,000 check and refers her to this new job. And Millie accepts the position without hesitation, indicating she understands the role she is meant to play, helping another victim of abuse by potentially eliminating her abuser.
She's like the head of the Underground Railroad.
The cycle of empowerment and retribution continues, with Millie now carrying the skills and resolve to protect other women from men like Andrew. So this is obviously a radical feminist story. Jack Posobiec was right in pointing that out. This is basically a violent, radical feminist fantasy novel series that women eat right up because they hate men. Mm-hmm. And there's really no ambiguity about that. But if there's anything we know about Sydney Sweeney, it's that she is going to executive produce on the sequel, a la Jenna Ortega executive producing the second season of Wednesday, after that was also a breakout success, which is a great financial decision on her part. And more proving that Sydney Sweeney if not for having acting chops, definitely has the business chops.
Yes, she does.
To prove herself in this industry. We were just talking about how she's been consistently underestimated and seems to be supremely okay with that. But she also addressed the talk of a sequel, the rumors about the sequel, saying we want to be able to give the people what they want, and the people are women on BookTok.
Yes.
This is such an amazing community of book lovers, and we would love to do another film. This is, by the way, directed by Paul Feig, who is also behind the Simple Favor series starring Blake Lively and Anna Kendrick.
Also Ghostbusters 2016, but we won't mention that.
And Ghostbusters 2016, unfortunately.
Also,
he cannot be trusted with that.
He's got a wallop of a lie recently where he claimed that Ghostbusters fans were the ones that really loved Ghostbusters 2016, and it was just online trolls that hated Ghostbusters 2016, which is, of course, not even just a lie, but like a mega super uber duper lie. But we can move on. He should focus on what he's good at, which is movies like this.
Right. And
For
a
the
Simple
girls and the
Favor.
gays.
I think that A Simple Favor went to streaming, didn't it?
Probably. And look,
As
people,
did the sequel.
Most of the reviews I saw from this, I think, if I remember correctly, Jeremy Johns liked this movie. Thought it was great. So like, as normie as you can get from a movie reviewer, thought it was good. Oh, I'm talking about The Housemaid, not Ghostbusters, by the way.
Right. No. Yeah. I think I could be wrong, but I think that A Simple Favor and the sequel, Another Simple Favor, went straight to streaming. So they at least saw the success of that on streaming as perhaps a proof that this specific genre can hold itself up in the box office.
Yeah, I mean,
which is a good sign.
Colleen Hoover's stuff doing well means that it's at least worth trying.
Yeah, although there was another movie in theaters based on a Colleen Hoover novel that didn't do well, and that's why I don't remember its name.
I don't know.
It was more recent than the It Ends With Us debacle.
And I mean, Colleen Hoover is also kind of in a bad spot right now because of everything with Justin Boltoni and Blake Lively.
Yes. Okay. So the most recent film adaptation from a Colleen Hoover novel was called Regretting You, which was directed by Josh Boone, starring Allison Williams, McKenna Grace, and Dave Franco. That premiered back in October last year.
2024?
Yeah.
2025?
No, sorry, 2025.
Okay.
2025. But nobody heard about it, talked about it. I doubt that it made its money back. And I think the success of It Ends With Us can, in large part, be owed to the tabloid drama surrounding it. Mm-hmm. Similarly to Don't Worry, Darling.
Yeah, and even Anyone But You, which had its own sort of, that type of journalism, as people reported on.
Right.
I almost called him Glenn Close. Glenn Powell and Sydney Sweeney potentially, being together.
The next Colleen Hoover adaptation in theaters is going to be Reminders of Him. Mm-hmm. That is March 2026.
And when is Verity?
And Verity, starring Anne Hathaway and Josh Hartnett and Dakota Johnson as well, is scheduled for October 2026.
It feels like maybe as a genre, it requires some kind of behind-the-scenes controversy to kind of bolster the excitement. Even Barbie, for as successful as it was, also got a boost from Barbenheimer in a way.
Right.
Maybe there has to be, because maybe it's just because women in general aren't looking to go to the theaters as much. They need to find something in their TikTok feed that shows them that this movie exists and gives them a reason to go. Whether that's two actors who might be having an affair behind the scenes, or two actors one who's fat shaming the other before he files a lawsuit against her. And then her husband puts him as a soy boy character in a Deadpool movie. Like, they need some type of controversy to drag everybody out of their TikTok algorithm and into the theaters.
Right. But if they try to drum up controversy where it doesn't exist, I think people will also be able to sniff that out.
I don't even know. Like, I don't even know these days. Like, I would have said maybe last year, but I feel like people are so desirous of being entertained by stuff like this that they're willing to buy into it.
Yeah, perhaps. I guess it remains to be seen. It didn't work for the previous one, the Regretting You movie. Nobody cared about that.
Yeah,
So
no controversy. They need to get some
Yeah.
controversy going. All right, let's move on. We've got more stuff to get into today.
You want to get into super chats? Or
Oh yeah,
wait
I mean, yeah,
for
we can do that. We can do let's do a couple of super chats.
All right. Shane H. Wilder said, "Happy Wednesday, Brett and Mary. So since Epiphany was yesterday, did you get the door to your new abode chalked with 20 CMB 26, Mary?" No, I did not.
Can you explain that to me?
But I've seen a different one. I could be wrong. I've never done that. I forget what the acronym is, but a lot of Catholics chalk this on the above their door with every new year. I just don't remember what it means.
Okay.
But I haven't done that. I don't think I would be allowed to do that because I'm not a homeowner. So perhaps not. Corey Anderson said Mary isn't wearing black. Spidey sense is tingling. Yeah, I mean it's pretty close to black. It's a dark red.
If the room was darker,
it's a little
it
out
would
of
be
my
even-
comfort zone.
If the room was darker, it'd be even harder to tell.
Right.
Yeah. Let's do one more.
Shane H. Wilder said James Cameron lost to The Hurt Locker.
Yes, which Catherine Bigelow directed. So him and his wife went toe to toe at the Oscars. All right, let's hold off on the rest. We will come back. Let's move on.
The New York Post interviewed a MAGA influencer in New York City about her list of bare minimum requirements for the men that she dates in the city. And it caused a lot of controversy, mainly because of the tone that she took with men. And it's always all of the things men are required to do and never any requirements on yourself to meet them halfway. Here was her list. She goes by Rack is Right. I have seen her content before, but I wasn't familiar until today. She seems like, honestly, one of the most annoying people on the planet. Here's her list. The bare minimum for men on a first date. Number 1, pay the bill. If you split the bill, I will never speak to you again, and I will slander you.
Okay, so right off the bat, this is where it all starts. It's the little jabs that are her bread and butter and are designed to be inflammatory.
Like, this doesn't make you look good, you know? And it's also kind of demoting you in the sexual marketplace, as much as I despise that term, to be the woman who is demanding things, because it implies that you're not getting those things to begin with. It implies that you actually are one of the women who is assumed to be, I guess, this sounds harsh, but unworthy of this type of treatment. That is why you're the one screaming and crying and throwing a tantrum to get it. The women who do get treated like this on a first date, the way that you're demanding it, they don't post things like this. They don't act like this. That's kind of the problem in and of itself. Number 2, open the door. All doors. I don't touch doors. It's even just the tone in that one is like, I don't touch doors. It's giving princess treatment, like that
Yes.
TikToker who was making content about princess treatment and how she expects princess treatment from her husband. And she's like, I don't make eye contact with service workers.
Yeah.
I don't order my own food. I don't talk to the hostess because I'm a princess. Like, you just sound insane. You sound insane and impossible to talk to.
Again, but this is the point of the era we live in when it comes to how you get big on social media. She could write this list in a less annoying way.
Or not write a list.
But I'm saying, like, even if you were to keep the list the same, you could write pretty much everything on here without it being this annoying and cunty.
This is the thing. Everybody has a list, whether or not they've enumerated it or whether or not they have shared it. Usually people have the decorum not to blast it all over social media. Number 3, let her order first. I have no idea why that one is there. Why is that important?
I don't know. That doesn't really make sense to me, but you know, I was thinking about what it's like when we go to a restaurant, and pretty much always if the waitress or the waiter is like, you know, are you guys ready? And everybody says, yeah, I would always defer to whoever I'm with. that they can go first if they want, but that's just a force of habit, and it had nothing to do with, relationship stuff. It's just good manners.
I mean, I heard the traditional etiquette is actually for the man to order first, so that the woman has an implication of the price range that she should look for in the menu.
It sounds like the point she's trying to make here is you let her order first so she's not encumbered, so she can be unencumbered of such problems, or she can be like, he's like, you know what? If you want to spend $1,000 on food tonight, go ahead.
Yeah.
He doesn't, and then, but then you know what he does to get her back? Right after she does that, he orders something off the dollar menu to make her feel bad.
Okay, number 4, let her sit in the booth, obviously.
Wait, in this reality, is there only one booth?
Yeah, if there's like a table that has one side as a chair and one side is the booth, I guess that the woman gets the booth. Whatever. You're already on the wrong side of history on this issue, because I believe in sitting next to each other, not across.
Wait, so even on a first date? Even on a first date?
I mean, I just think sitting next to someone is superior to sitting across.
Okay. We have a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. He says, you can chalk your door as a renter. I do it on my apartment door. CMB is for the 3 wise men. Is that Casper, Melicor, and Balthazar? It is also for the Latin, I can't read that one. You're going to have to read that one when it comes up. Or may God bless this house. Where may God bless this house. So that explains the what looked like a quadratic equation that he wrote there. So continue. I'm sorry.
Okay, number 5 is offer to walk her home / to her car / to Uber to prove you're not a huge beep.
Again, this is the point. So she could have said that without the last part there, and it would have been a perfectly reasonable request. She's just...
But even then, like, they would still find a problem with it. Like, oh my gosh, he was so creepy. Like, he wouldn't let me go home. He was following me home. He was a creep. Like, they could twist it either way.
I'm just trying to find a way to help this lady be less of a cunt.
Oh, she's not interested in being less of a cunt, though. Like, that's the problem. She's not interested in being a palatable person. Number 6, do not mention your ex, your situationship, or, quote, this girl I used to talk to.
Yeah.
I mean, I think everyone understands that that's a faux pas, so I don't know if that needed to be there. But number 7, sidewalk rule. If you don't know it, that explains why you're single. So that rule is you stand on the side of the road that is like near the cars, basically, so she doesn't get run over.
Fun fact, because Olivia has to always walk on my left side, because that's the only ear that I can hear out of, there have been times where we are walking home and like we like post something on Instagram and definitely got like called out by somebody for me not walking on that side. And I was like,
people made that their own personal crusade.
Yeah. And I was like, you know what?
Yeah.
You know what? If we get hit by a car, I will pull her out of the way and throw her towards the wall.
I looked further into this girl. That is the conclusion of the list, by the way. I looked further into this girl's social media presence because I knew that I slightly recognized her face. She is one of the most vapid, like, conservative, quote unquote, influencers ever. Like, she's basically just one of these liberals who's, you know, she's like pro-choice, she's pro-gay, and
but anti-woke, like, so that way she's she's like
gonna end up on a... And she wants to make America hot again. Like, what does that even mean?
She's going to end up on one of those conservative beer calendars.
Literally. That is the type of person we are talking about. Yeah. Another one that she added as an addendum here was, NYC men are either gay, too good to be true, or ran through.
What does too good to be true mean? And I thought we weren't supposed to care about a person's sexual history. I thought you were supposed to love them for who they are. No matter what. It's the past in the past. Are you insecure, ma'am? She must be insecure.
Yeah, well, I mean, since she started that conversation, I'm sure that she would feel perfectly comfortable sharing with everyone what her body count is.
What's your body count?
Yeah. And she elaborated to the post, the person in the suburbs would just never understand that. The best man in the entire world, the guy who seems like he's an effing catch, is actually pure evil. And that's all of the men that you meet?
Yeah.
Sounds like you're the common denominator there, Rack. Also, why is your name Rack? Anyway.
With a
then,
Q.
They get some more input from female commenters. One said, standard etiquette, anything below this basic standard is a non-starter. Funny how bare minimum, this one was from a man. Funny how bare minimum for men always comes with maximum entitlement for women. Another man said, I don't disagree, but your tone makes you sound high maintenance and undateable, unless I was drunk / desperate.
See, okay, so here's the thing. This guy right here, he's like me. He'll never be successful on social media because he's being too rational and too fair, okay? She's not, the tone is the point. She knows that list doesn't get any traction unless it's got a bunch of snark in it. And and your responses will not even get the traction to meet her, to meet her at her level, because your response is too even keel. You need to be like, listen here, bitch. And then like, you have to be ungovernable on the internet if you want any traction, unfortunately.
Listen here, bitch.
Yeah. I'm not saying I'm not saying that's a good thing. I'm saying that's the way of the world when it comes to the internet. You have to be annoying and you have to be unbelievably incendiary.
Rack, being the charity worker, the absolute saint, the Mother Teresa of a generation, actually has hosted a lot of mixing events for singles under the title Make America Hot Again, in which she hopes other singles can meet normal city conservatives in real life, which literally just means that they're liberals from 10 years ago, by the way.
Yeah.
There's so she says a whole faction of conservatives who are like, you have to be married by 22 and in a dress on a farm milking cows. Like, I'm just not doing that.
Mm-hmm.
Who are all of these men that expect this? I've actually heard, and this is from my own experiences talking to young guys in real life about like their dating experiences. I've heard more of them complain about how they continue dating young women their age who insist on being, living on a homestead and want a farm.
And they're like,
and have
bro,
cows and chickens.
I
and
can't afford that.
Yes. That's actually the complaint that I have heard from conservative-minded young men, is that they can't stop meeting all of these like trad LARPing homestead girls who are obsessed with the idea of being Hannah Nealman, aka Ballerina Farm.
They think that that's what their job is going to be, that he's going to go to work and she's going to post social media content and baking bread from scratch.
So I don't know who all these men are that Rack keeps meeting who are pressuring her to, wear a girdle and milk a cow. Like, these men simply do not exist.
In this picture, she looks like she's wearing one of those bows that you get on a brand new car when you get it for Christmas.
Mm-hmm.
Which I found you can buy on Amazon, which I was like pretty excited about.
She described her target audience for these speed dating events, saying it's just really hard to find these cool, normal conservatives. We're sort of like barstool conservatives, me and my friends, we drink, we like to have fun. Okay,
what the hell is a barstool conservative for women? What is the actual business analogy? Is that the EV conservatives or something? Is an EV conservative the barstool for women?
It's actually not accurate to call, women like Rack and her friends barstool conservatives, because the barstool girls actually were a totally different breed from the current day MAGA babe. Women like even Jenna Marbles back in the day, or the current day version being like Brianna Chicken Fry. Like, these women are actually more aptly called chill girls, which brings me to my next point. I just want to show.
We got before we do that, we got a 20 here from Shane H. Wilder, who says, "Fun fact: the original reason for men standing on the curbside was because chamber pots were disposed of in the streets. It was to keep women from getting covered in waste."
Okay, so that's a little bit outdated.
Well, okay, so if ever I see somebody dumping a chamber pot into the street, I will dash to the opposite side. I won't be able to hear a word she's saying, but I'll do it.
The sidewalk rule just never really made sense to me, because like are all of these people like getting run over when they're walking on the sidewalk? Anyway, aside from all that, I wanted to show this TikTok from a woman doing this. This is a genre of content now where they go on a date and then they come home and record a video diary about their experience on the date and their evaluation of the man that they just saw for the first time. This woman essentially says, this guy was great. He did everything right, but he was just too nice. So I guess we'll see if I'm going to see him again. We'll find out.
Let's play the clip here. Maybe I'm taking a risk here doing the screen share again, but I'm going to do the screen share again and we're going to play this through. So here we go. Here we go, guys.
Awesome guy, and maybe I'll see him again, but I just think he might be a little too nice for me, which again, there's nothing wrong with that, and like that's usually the dream, but he also really loves dogs. He's close with his family. He likes to travel.
He volunteers to children's charities.
He's been solo traveling. We were there for like 2.5 hours. Complete gentleman. Paid for everything. I did my usual, like, do you want to split the bill? Of course, he said no. And he paid for my Uber home. And it was nice. It was nice to be on a date with, like, a good New York guy again. So I'll let you guys know if we see him again.
Okay.
First of all, I just can't stand that women talk like this now. Like, I guess we'll just see him again.
Is it supposed like does she speak like that at her job? Assuming she has a job, does she talk like that at her job? It's a voice you put on, kind of in the same way that like when we do this podcast, to an extent, you have to project your voice because it's a skill set in a weird way to be able to project your voice in a way that's more than just how you would necessarily talk. I think it's actually more formed out of the fact that you have to sit a certain way. It forces you to start speaking a certain way. And for them, it's a mask that they put on to kind of drop into the persona that they start to embody when they develop a following online.
It's just super lame and juvenile. It's like, you know, you're an adult woman. You know, use your real voice. I'm using my real voice right now. This is what I sound like. Yep. They're all pitching up, way up here. And like, especially when they get louder, they sound like banshees. But anyway, my point being of showing that video is presumably the guy that she went on that first date with followed all of Rack's bare minimum rules, right? He did everything right. Yep. And it still wasn't good enough. So this is why men are becoming exasperated. Now, back to the definition of the chill girl, I wanted to cite this essay, which was published in The Guardian a few months back by an actual high school girl. Why are you publishing a high schooler's thoughts on literally anything, is my question. But she explains that since Trump got elected, she's noticed a lot of her female peers. I can like vaguely hear it through your mic, but not much. Right. Okay, so this girl explains that a lot of her female peers, since Trump got elected, have made a conscious effort to be less annoying around the guys in their age group by essentially letting them be guys. And she believes this is a sign that we are regressing as a society because all of these young girls who, you know, ostensibly have progressive values are not speaking out when the guys in their peer group make offensive, bigoted jokes. Yeah. And they're trying to be what she calls the new chill girl.
So is this like an offshoot of the Pick Me?
Perhaps. Not quite the same thing because they're not going out of their way to join in with those jokes that they find distasteful, but they've stepped back from being a stickler about the woke rules.
We got a 20 here from Vodka Jables says, optical overlord saying, listen here, bitch, made me laugh like I couldn't breathe. Inside joke from my friend group is a catchphrase very similar. Look here, bitch. I vote this sound clip be added to the crisis party. Maybe. I mean, you know, maybe at one point. All right, continue.
She said, I've noticed a phenomenon at my high school that I call the chill girl. A group of kids is talking casually. Seemingly out of the blue, one of the boys makes an offhanded joke. Maybe it's racist, sexist, or homophobic, but whatever the poison, they inject it, and the group dynamic shifts. As a rule, the boys continue as usual, while the girls, who tend to be more progressive, face a choice. They can speak up, which usually results in them getting the reputation as annoying and unable to take a joke, or they can let it pass and be regarded as a chill girl who isn't angry or woke. This latter reaction has become far more common, she says, since the election of Donald Trump in 2024.
Yeah.
And she says, the girls I talk to say it's riskier to be outspokenly liberal. A high school girl reported that boys are becoming more emboldened, confident to make bigoted jokes. Another said that since Trump took office, casual racism and sexism have become common. We see that behavior more, and it's happening to us. Young women feel social pressure to remain passive in the face of offensive remarks. Your guy friends will think you're attacking them. It's not worth it to speak out against every incident. You need to pick your battles. Even in comparatively liberal spaces, argues this girl, this teenager. Like my high school, girls who wince at locker room talk risk exclusion. No one wants to hang out with the stickler, so no one wants to become her, and therefore juvenile illiberalism lives on.
She's actually mistaking liberalism and progressivism, but that's by the wayside.
I mean, I just thought it was kind of funny to juxtapose the MAGA babe clamoring and throwing a tantrum and shaming men into what she deems good behavior, even though she's purportedly conservative. And then on the other hand, you have the progressive liberal women actually biting their tongue in order to be a more pleasant person to be around.
Well, it's
an interesting reversal of the roles, if you think about it.
Isn't it just a sign of, the current Overton window, or I guess what you'd call the pendulum swing, that's still kind of coming back the other way?
Yeah. And that poll of Gen Z Republicans was very telling. Well, it compared both political Democrats and Republicans, male and female, in Gen Z, and the value systems between Democrat and Republican Gen Z women were like not as different as you would think. Yeah. And similarly for the guys who were Republicans and Democrats, not as different as you would think when it comes to their priorities and core values. The guys they placed more value on marriage and family than the women, regardless of political affiliation. So just more evidence of our growing gender divide.
All right. In action. Let's move on. We got some more super chats.
Shane H. Wilder said, I'm for the immigration moratorium. I know it ain't gonna happen, but our priorities are so screwed up when we're importing virtual hookers.
Look, I don't even think you have to use the importing of virtual hookers as the baseline there. I just think in general that we are an unbelievably powerful nation. We have access to a great deal of things, be it technology, intelligence from some of the best minds in the world. Obviously, our healthcare system, for as bad as it is when it comes to insurance, this is where people come from other countries if they need something specifically done that takes great effort and skill, that we shouldn't just give it away willy-nilly. What's the saying for the ladies when it's why buy the cow if you can get the milk for free? Why would we would we give away why would we give everybody access to everything that we have, given how much everybody complains about this country? Everybody seems to not be able to quit us. Maybe you should start putting yourself first. Just a thought.
I've started thinking, like, if we don't reach 2028 with a population of 0 Somalians in this country,
well, that's never going to happen.
I'm done. Like, and of course that's never going to happen, but like, my point is, like, it could happen, right? I thought that the whole tagline was like, we can just do things. We can deport these people. It's just not going to happen.
I wouldn't even know if we got to 0 because I can't count because I went to the Quality Leering Center growing up.
Right. Yeah. As a native Minnesotan.
Yeah, like I never went to the amount of like normies who have found that place though and are making like Instagram skits there is hilarious though. And honestly, given that me and you are both in the camp of nothing ever changes, right? We don't say nothing ever happens. We say nothing ever changes. Tim Walz not running for re-election actually feels like the first real something actually changed in a very long time.
Well, then we'll have to see if a Democrat who's just as bad or worse than him is his successor, which is likely because Minnesota is going to Minnesota.
Yes, Minnesota is a cesspool at that, because the cities, and the funny thing is a lot of people tell you Minnesota is deep red in a lot of ways on the outskirts of the state, right? It's just that it's controlled by two very large cosmopolitan cities, St. Paul and Minneapolis. The worst being, of course, that both of them have like strong art centers. So it's the most unreasonable type of progressive. You have the theater kids in St. Paul and you have the music kids in Minneapolis, and you're just stuck.
Double whammy.
Yep.
Well, there you go, though. That's Nothing Ever Happens vindicated once again, or rather the Nothing Ever Changes paradigm. We got a flower emoji from Moon at Noon. Thank you.
And do one more from Greg Duvier.
Greg Duvier said, I heard Mocha is not doing well. She deserves a cute day segment. I hope it will make her feel better.
Yeah,
What's going on?
Mocha's health has been bad for a long time, but she's got some other health issues that are now coming out again, and we're keeping an eye on her. We may have to take her to the vet again, which always sucks because going to the vet is expensive, and it very rarely feels like, am I the only person who feels like most of the time they just making shit up? They're like, this will make them feel better. Like,
what do you mean?
Even doctors, right? Like, have you ever seen those memes about like the doctors who are like looking stuff up now on ChatGPT before they like help their patients?
Right.
Like that's what I feel like with most of it. But we're gonna probably have to take Mocha back to the vet. She has been on meds for the entire time that me and Olivia have been together. So we're hoping that she'll be doing better, but she hasn't been well. Like, you can always tell when you own, like, I never owned pets growing up. So it wasn't until I moved in and started living with pets that I started realizing that you can start to see distinct personalities in them and notice differences when they start behaving differently. So, all right.
Well wishes for Mocha.
Yep. Let's hold off on the rest and let's move on.
Guys, I have to admit that I was on the wrong side of history when it comes to the debate that rages over how one should dress at the airport. I once was in the camp that believed you should present yourself well in public no matter where you are, including the airport. But, honestly, my personal experiences with what I'm now calling travel abuse have officially changed my mind on this topic. I've evolved past that point, and I now am kind of defending the people that go to the airport in sweatpants or pajamas and slippers. This was a reminder of the debate recently. This post was a random candid picture of women standing around the airport with their luggage. Now, granted, had this photo not featured any suitcases, I would have thought, oh, this is just how people like dress at the mall.
At the mall,
like
yeah.
people dress like slobs everywhere.
All the time.
The airport is no exception to that rule. And I do think that when you're not traveling, you should make more of an effort than what you see in this photo. But the caption says, when did we all decide sweats and pajama pants were the appropriate attire for air travel? Nobody gives an F anymore. And this is possibly the cringiest and most tired, played out conservative talking point at this point. Like, so many conservatives love harping on this because it's an easy way to feel moral superiority to other people, which is something conservatives love. And, the answer as to why people dress like this at the airport is obvious. You dress like that because there is a very real possibility you're going to be held hostage at the airport or multiple airports for maybe at times days at a time. And you don't want to be dressed in your Sunday best when you're sleeping on the floor. Okay?
His top, like his comment underneath the post is insane. If you wouldn't go to a job interview in sweats or pajamas, you shouldn't get on a flight in sweats or pajamas. This is straight ass. If you're defending it, you're lazy as fuck, period.
Okay.
It's like,
well,
you know what it is?
Stands.
The internet is a place where you go to find your like corner pocket ideas and like opinions that have no real bearing on society and aren't actually controversial at all, but can drive engagement. It would be like somebody being like, if you like cilantro, you belong in jail. Like, you know what I mean? It's like you have to have an opinion that has absolutely no bearing on whether people view, you know how people view you, because it's so inconsequential. Now, if you want to have an actual like the actual discussion that people would probably have is like, what is it about society now that causes men and women to go out and do everyday activities like go to the store, run errands, dressed in pajamas, when I guess from my perspective, the idea is if you're a single adult, you know, man or woman looking to meet somebody, you should feel some sense of desire to look presentable at any given time. Is it ridiculous to think that you're going to meet your future spouse at the TJ Maxx? No, it's not very, or I should say it is ridiculous, but something should go off in your brain that you don't want to go out looking like a slob. It should be actually as much for others, it should be for yourself to want to feel confident in what you're wearing.
Yeah, and the possibility of meeting a potential romantic interest aside, I think it's valuable to present yourself well in public.
Makes you feel better about yourself.
That's a valid conversation to have. But when it comes to air travel, this is a totally different environment that is seemingly designed to drive people crazy. It's been like, how many, like, I think the FAA published, it was like 6,000 incidents of erratic behavior at airports or on flights in, you know, the past, you know, handful of years. And it's because this is an environment seemingly designed to break you down and humiliate you, and encourages like our base animal survival instincts to kick in.
Yep.
Hence why you see like the Tiffany Gomez's of the world. So, I mean, God forbid if people want to be comfy at the airport, knowing that they're going to be cramped into a seat that is clearly not made for any average American body to fit into. And they're possibly going to have a delayed flight. I mean, every flight that I've been on in a consecutive string has been delayed, every single one. And because all of the flights are delayed, even your destination is delayed because the gate that you're supposed to arrive at is occupied by a delayed flight. So you're going to be taxiing around aimlessly until it's open for, at times, you know, 30 minutes to an hour, holding all the passengers hostage at their destination. So there's that.
That one has happened to me more lately than it ever did when I was younger.
Oh, like, yeah, it's crazy.
It's been less the delays taking off and more the we've landed, now we have no place to go.
And people will blame that on the government shutdown. It was going on before the shutdown and after. So one person chimed in saying, it's especially annoying because the reason people no longer dress up to fly is clearly a response to planes becoming unbearably cramped and uncomfortable. Why would you wear a 3-piece suit to be shoved into a 1 foot by 2 foot prison for hours? And on top of that, all of the incompetence and massive downgrades in quality and customer service that we can expect now from every airline. And what's especially demoralizing about this is even if you have the discretionary income to pay your way into business or first class, you still are going to be treated like cattle by commercial airlines. The income gap between the people who can afford to fly private and the people who can merely afford to fly first class commercial is growing exponentially. And the income gap between those who fly respectively first class and business and economy, those income gaps are growing. The middle class is collapsing, but even the upper middle class ticket buyers can't pay their way out of being treated like trash.
Yeah.
And that's why I have evolved on this. And I think airports need to be an exception to the rule that you should generally dress respectably in public. Like, until we are respected by airlines and treated humanely, I don't think this is a valid reason for complaint. And I especially found it just rich to hear this from our transportation secretary, Sean Duffy, who during the height of Thanksgiving travel decided to launch his own thing called a civility campaign, where he says that the reason why people crash the F out in airports and on flights is because we're the problem, actually. We need to start wearing our Sunday best to the airport because it will help us not have a melty on the flight.
Okay.
And it will make us treat ourselves and others more nicely.
Here we go.
There was his exhortation to the American public.
Okay, here we go. Is it this one? Yeah, Sean Duffy. Here we go.
Gotta love the Happy Thanksgiving placard in front of him, by the way.
You might have noticed that we've launched a civility campaign. And I think it's important as we travel that we think about not just ourselves, not just our families, but we think about those who are around us. And we call our better angels. In a busy time, and again, the airports are going to be packed. TSA lines may be a little longer. And as you might not be able to find a seat as you're by your gate because of the number of flights that are going out or coming in. But I think we have to think about, how do we do a better job? How do we, maintain maybe some of that frustration we have as we travel this Thanksgiving season? Maybe we should say please and thank you to our pilots and to our flight attendants. I think, again, I call this just maybe dressing with some respect.
Okay.
Whether it's a pair of jeans and a decent.
There's literally like a buzzing going on in the video that's driving me crazy.
Shirt. I would encourage people to maybe dress a little better, which encourages us to maybe behave a little better. Let's try not to wear slippers and pajamas as we come to the airport. I think that's positive.
Okay.
Yeah. So, I mean, this guy probably flies private.
Yeah, and let's face it.
Is that a wild claim?
No,
I think
not.
he probably flies private.
And let's be real, like this guy, so the airlines, which won't be held accountable, can treat you like cattle, like trash. But you should do your part to be better. Basically, do better. He's being a liberal. Do better.
Yeah, like the onus is on us.
Now, I get what he's saying. If I was to, have the patience to deal with it. And I do think that you should, I also think that there's an argument to be made that you can find ways to dress respectable and comfortable, and that can be done.
Yes.
But again, this is a two-way street, and they're going to have to put their best efforts in as well. You should treat the employees with respect, obviously. That should be second nature for anybody who wasn't raised in a barn. But as far as the clothes, I can be polite as can be and very respectful to every single person there and still dress in a way that probably wouldn't pass muster with good old Sean Duffy over here.
Sure. Yeah, right. And it's just the ultimate irony for him to be, tisk-tisking the American public about the way we dress at airports instead of doing his actual job, which is to improve travel for Americans by actually holding the airlines accountable for the way they treat their customers. It's like you're the public official whose entire job it is to make the experience of traveling in this country not an absolute hellscape, but somehow it's our fault.
Yeah.
That it's like that.
We got 20.
No, I'm just...
We got 20 here from Shane H. Wilder. Says, last time I was on a flight with a layover, I had a layover in Houston going to London. I'm glad I gave myself a 3-hour layover because it took an hour and a half to get off then an hour to get to the other side of the airport.
Yep. tons of people that like can't make their connections. But no, if you wear a suit to the airport, that's not going to be frustrating.
Yeah.
It's actually it's going to help you not be so stressed out if you wear constricting clothing.
Yeah. What if
That sounds like common sense to me.
What if Sean Duffy just been like, why don't you just fly private?
Literally, that's how it sounds. Like, that's the quiet part out loud.
Like, why don't you, oh, you're homeless. Why don't you buy a house?
Right? Like, I mean, maybe this is like, I could be wrong, but I would assume that Sean Duffy flies on PJs.
Probably.
I would assume that. Yeah.
All right. Let's finish up these super chats then.
All right. Robert Delara said, this year Sydney Sweeney should do a commercial for Ghost Blend coffee. Instead of saying she has great genes, she should say, I have great beans, as in coffee beans. I mean, that'll be the day, won't it? Genghis Khan
that
of Mongolia.
That one made me laugh.
Give us a Red One sequel?
I mean, I would have loved that. I loved Red One, but I mean, if make it now, it's not going to be out till Christmas of next year, because why would you release it any other time of year?
Oh, I forgot to mention this, but I recently watched this episode of Matt Walsh's podcast where he did a deep dive into a subreddit for air traffic controllers, and
he must love his job where he gets to just go on weird side quests.
These people are mentally unhinged. They were all making jokes about intentionally killing people because they don't like their jobs, and they were like bitching about the government shutdown and not getting their paychecks fast enough, and joking about, oops, like I just killed people, oops. Like, how are you even able to say that online anonymously without the FBI tracking you down and throwing you in prison? Yeah. That's insane.
You know, it's...
So how about we get our transportation secretary to go hold those people accountable instead of us? That would be nice. Rural conservative. That one was about the CMB initials.
Yep. Chief Corey Anderson.
Corey Anderson said, in regards to Rack is right, I am not opening the door to ladies for you. You can't sit in the booth if the other side has its back to the door, dummy.
Yes, the argument being that he wants to sit facing the door so that he can assess all threats.
Oh, got it. Yeah. Well, that's understandable. Yeah. But again, I think
use that he purposely picks a restaurant ahead of time that he knows like means that the booth is wherever faces the door. So he's got his answer where even if it's bullshit, it sounds good. So he's like, oh, trust me, like I need to make sure that you're safe. And then you win brownie points because you look like you're looking for her safety, but really you just wanted the comfy seat. That's what it is.
Yeah. I do stand by sitting next to instead of across, though. I stand by that take. Censored 86 said the
Stranger Things, I think.
Oh, Stranger Things ending was really bad, and everyone I know thinks so. The conformity gate people are schizo, but I guess we'll see the fallout at 8 p.m. EST. Hilarious. So that's when they thought the episode was going to drop at 8 p.m. tonight?
Sounds like it.
They're just moving the goalposts. Yeah. All of them thought that it was going to be midnight, like last night. And then that didn't happen. So they're like, no, it's actually supposed to be at 8 p.m.
We're gonna have to wait and see if this comes to pass tonight.
It's not gonna happen. Stop trying to make episode 9 happen.
Mm-hmm.
Shane H. Wilder said, fun fact, the original reason for men... Oh, that was the chamber pots thing, yeah. I think we should probably get rid of that.
Yeah.
That tradition. We don't have chamber pots on the street. Actually, more likely is that on the inside of the sidewalk, there's going to be a homeless person. So maybe the guy should be on the inside of the sidewalk.
Yeah, at the very least, you should have that argument ready when she asks why you're not standing by the road.
Right, exactly. He's like, I'm just protecting you from the raving homeless people. What do you mean?
Mm-hmm.
Joel Widgens sent us a sticker earlier.
Thank you message. Thank you.
Robert Delara said the date list does not blow anyone's mind. She thinks she's trying to reinvent the wheel. Just another flake girl trying to be a date expert. Yeah.
There is a 20 here from Pop Culture Junkie. Says the Trump administration rolled back consumer protections for passengers like a proposed rule for cash comp for flight delays, citing unnecessary regulatory burdens while emphasizing industry-friendly enforcement. That's funny, too, because I was just thinking about that today. So for the most part, today did the most, at least, given my, smooth brain take, the most consumer-friendly thing that he could have that he's probably done, which is looking to ban large corporations from owning single-family homes. Now, most everything from what I've seen that he's done has been pro-corporation, which in theory would benefit the average everyday person if it increased competition in the marketplace. But we all know that that's not usually how these things work.
No, and I have my many complaints about the second Trump administration, mainly to do with pitiful deportation numbers. But I did vaguely remember what you mentioned, Pop Culture Junkie. It was basically like, if a flight gets delayed or canceled, we don't have to, compensate you for that.
Yeah, but most people,
as a customer,
I'm guessing most people's argument is that if that risk is now taken on by the company, that they're going to pass that down to the consumer by way of price.
And raising the fares, yeah.
I mean, that's usually what happens when the government interferes with private business.
I guess, I don't have all the answers. But I just know whatever we're dealing with right now is untenable.
Yeah.
Especially because the people that are paying out the wazoo for first class tickets are also experiencing the same exact problems as the people who are paying for economy tickets. Like at least if you pay extra for like leg room, you should have a noticeably better experience than the people who are paying the lowest fare.
Yeah. But
it's not even like that anymore. In fact, it used to be that the first class section on any flight was almost like a cordoned off, like totally separate cabin, seemingly. It's not like that anymore either. And now they've got all these prototypes for, ways that they can squeeze more and more people into a commercial flight by having them like lay on top of each other like prawns.
We got some Rumble rants here from McLeod2467. Women are a lost cause. You married types keep what you got. You don't want any part of these being in these trenches. I actually was just thinking about today. It's like I got married in September. It's like how long until I can start making my comments about I am so glad that I made it out of here. Like the last copter out of Nam, right? Like how long until I can start saying that?
I think it's incredibly telling when women make a habit out of constantly complaining about dating, specifically complaining about the way that men these days behave in the dating pool. Like, I'm sure it's not great, but most of those complaints just sound like a self-report.
Yeah.
You're reporting on the way you select men and the way you allow them to treat you. It says more about you and your low standards than anything.
Yeah.
It says more about you than the men you're dating, actually.
We have another Rumble rant here from McLeod2486. Says, there's more to being on a farm than being on Insta by the lake with a wraparound porch. You actually get dirty and there's no shopping malls or clubs nearby.
Yeah. I am so frustrated with these wannabe homesteaders. They are so obnoxious. And, I don't even understand it. Remember when I tweeted that thing about like how I would never want to have a homestead or like I would never want to live on a farm?
Yep.
I'm not even interested in having a vegetable garden, let alone an entire farm. I don't want to touch poop. I don't want to touch dirt. I don't want to do any of that. I have no interest in it. And I said, again, like, no hate if that's your thing. Do that. It's important. We need farms, but it's not for me. And everyone's like, so mad at me.
So
for
are you
even
like
saying
not
that.
like a real conservative? Like that's what they're saying.
Yeah, like it was some kind of purity test.
Yep.
They were so mad at me for saying that. But then in my real life, one of the major complaints that I'm hearing from young guys in the dating pool is that all of the women they date, even though they live in apartments in a city, have some outrageous like pipe dream of living on a self-sustaining homestead.
Yeah.
And they have zero skills to back it up, zero funds to make it happen. They just expect a man to waltz into their life and create this like dream ballerina farm situation. And they think that's totally realistic to expect.
Well, I'm guessing that most of them aren't going to meet somebody with airliner money.
No, I don't think that you're just going to stumble into a JetBlue Air.
No. We've got another Rumble rant here. 20 from Jolly 1976 says Point Break and The Fast and the Furious are the same movie. I mean, in theory, yeah, undercover, you know, he goes undercover with street racers rather than surfers, but, you know. McLeod 2486 says the My Pillow guy is running for office. Great campaign meme would be him pillowing Walls out of campaign. Well, I mean,
I didn't know.
It's supposedly Nick Shirley who ended Tim Walz.
Mike Lindell what is he running for?
I have no idea. And how is he running Lindell TV or whatever it is? Well, he's running for office.
Yeah, what's going on there? Maybe he could run for Congress in California against Trisha Paytas. That would be incredible.
He should do that. And Michael Rappaport.
Rural Conservative said, I'm working on leaving the farm because my dating life sucks. Where the hell are these country-loving women? No, so don't try to date those women. I'm warning you, because you actually live that life. Mm-hmm. They consume it on Pinterest and Instagram and TikTok. They are not prepared to actually take on the responsibilities of living on or managing a farm. So don't even try it with those women.
It's like the videos of the female IDF soldiers, and then it cuts to the guy, goes, snap out of it. It's propaganda. It's propaganda. Don't do it.
Yeah. Yeah, it is. So yeah, don't try to date any of those supposed wannabe homesteaders who live in the suburbs and the cities. They're kind of just LARPing and doing an escapist fantasy thing with their Pinterest boards. Dingus Khan of Gongolia said Minnesota has become the laughingstock of the United States. No one even grills California anymore.
But the thing is from what I've seen, at least from what I've seen, Minnesota is still consistently voted one of the best places to live, high quality of life. So it is a weird dichotomy there. Like, Minnesota seems to be, for the most part, very successful, but I wonder if that's just those are the people on the outskirts of the state or who live in the suburbs. And then the people who are forced to kind of live in the city are either far left or progressive, or they're miserable because it's kind of a hellhole. I don't know.
Yeah. Robert Delara said, make Somalia great again. Oh, wait, it was never great to begin with. Oh, shit, we are stuck with them. But that's the thing that makes me mad. We're not stuck with them. We can literally get rid of them anytime we want. What happened to all those billions of dollars that we gave to ICE?
Yeah.
Are those going to be spent on anything worthwhile that we're asking for?
They're literally there in Minnesota right now. That's where that lady died when she tried to drive over the ICE agent.
Well, okay. I'm just like, I've gotten exasperated, and I'm at the point where if there are Somalis in Minnesota by 2028, like, I'm done.
Okay.
Corey Anderson said, you two are good people. Well, thanks.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
I need to hear that. Morgan said, Mary is cuter. I don't know in comparison to who, but
it's like, look, you're both good people. Mary is cuter.
Oh, it was about the previous one.
I mean,
okay.
I'm assuming it's about this previous comment. Hold on.
Thank you, guys. Still can't hear it.
Dogs and cats. That's okay. That's okay.
They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats. Eat the cat. Eat the cat. They're eating the dogs. They're eating the cats.
Okay.
The cat.
Okay, Corey Anderson said, Brett Cooper seems to be doing well at homesteading in the Nashville area. Mary just doesn't want to be dirty or smell, probably against calluses too. Yeah, I don't want to be dirty. I don't want to smell. I don't want to smell animals. I don't want to, touch animals. Like, I will totally own that. No hate to anybody who does. But I just want to say, like, that's clearly what Brett Cooper wants to do. That's fine. I don't think she would deny that it takes a huge amount of investment of both time and money, though, that most people who just have Pinterest boards are not prepared for. So good on her for actually doing it. Pop Culture Junkie said, Mary, sound tip of the day, if you want to improve your acoustics, don't buy $26 per square foot Sonex material. Rip off those gray egg crates, have the same exact acoustic properties.
I'm guessing that most people don't put up egg crates because it doesn't look good visually.
Wait, what is the? I don't even know how to interpret that.
The pieces of like soundproofing that you put to improve the acoustics in your studio. In this case, that's,
okay.
You're not really in a studio, but that's okay. Yeah. So they're like, the new song is worse than the old song. And that's not a new song though. That's an old song. That's eating the cats and eating the dogs. There should have been. Did they make any meme songs about Trump when he apparently called that reporter Piggy? Because that would have been good.
Oh, I thought that was misreported and the reporter's name was Peggy.
That's what I heard too, but I literally think everything's propaganda now, and I don't care. And I don't care enough to go look. Like, I could do the research and be like, is there a woman named Peggy that works, that's part of the White House press corps that has Air Force One credentials? Or I could just be like, yeah, he probably didn't call her Piggy, and then go on with my life because I don't care.
Yeah, I feel like Trump wouldn't do that, at least not to someone's face. He would wait until he gets home to Truth Social about it. He wouldn't say it to her face.
To Truth Social about it.
To truth, sorry. The verb is truth.
He's like, I'm gonna truth you later, and you're gonna hate it.
Like, oh, I'm shaking in my boots. Shiver me timbers.
He's gonna truth me. Are there any like hipsters? So are there any hipsters on Truth? Like, there's got to be at least one, right? Like, there's got to be at least one brave soul who moved to Blue Sky who also has a Truth account.
Like left-wingers on Truth?
Who Truth because it's memeable.
I mean, that would be cool if they had an ounce of coolness left in them.
Yeah.
But they don't.
It's sad, but true.
They have not returned to their former hipster glory. Not yet, at least.
We need hipsters to come back. We need hipsters to come back in the environmentalist community. Like, I want to return to the days of like chaining yourself to trees to prevent a logging company from cutting down a tree.
I've heard that day is fast approaching, but I don't know. Remains to be seen. There was a huge revival of like the hipster aesthetic, but none of the values.
That's poser then. Then now
they
we're
are
bringing back posers.
They're not, collecting physical media to prove their hipsterdom. They're just wearing the outfits.
In the chat, somebody is it B7W says you have to accept ad calls when signing up to Truth Social. Who the F does that?
Wait, what?
Like what? You have to accept that, like,
they spam call you?
Like you have to give them their phone number and they're gonna reach out to you?
That's a nightmare.
Yeah.
Well, miss me with that. I mean, I wasn't planning on getting on Truth Social anyway, so I have nothing to worry about. But that sounds awful.
It does sound awful. But I would rather Trump go back. You see, because Trump went on, he went back on X, and his stuff doesn't really post on. I don't know if he actually posts on X, but most of it just gets reposted. Often. But he should have opened to Blue Sky. It would have been hilarious if he started posting all his important things to Blue Sky. I mean, assuming
that would have profited Blue Sky, so he wouldn't have been willing to do it.
Like,
because if Trump joined Blue Sky, then it would get a ton more signups, way more revenue.
Yeah.
He doesn't want to give them the boost, but that would have been funny.
Like, and then it would have like bolstered them to try and ban him to see if they could make that into like a court case, right? Because they're not. They're not supposed to be able to ban government officials, even though they did do it to Trump on X, or I guess Twitter during his first term. Before he was technically out of office, because of
Tell me if you disagree, but I kind of feel like trolling is passé now.
Yeah, because you don't know if anything is real anymore. So the trolling by its very nature has to be very obvious, and that's less fun.
Right. Like
everybody's on everybody's on edge now, wondering if they're getting punked on something.
Right.
So it only really worked when you could like pull one over on somebody who, it was unbeknownst to them that they were being trolled.
Right. Like if earnestness and sincerity are not to be found anywhere, then the power of trolling is essentially neutralized.
Yep. That's how it feels.
That's
like
why,
to me.
you know, I mean, I'm not a huge fan of Ashley St. Clair these days, but she recently tweeted and then pinned a post that said, Twitter was more fun when it was woke. And it's true. I found it way more fun when it was woke. And when, you know, being edgy was still censored, it made being edgy what it was. And then once the floodgates were opened, it just wasn't it didn't feel as rebellious or mischievous or interesting. There are less actual human conversations. I see a ton of people just copy and pasting engagement farm replies at every viral tweet, including some of my own tweets. People are replying the same exact phrase that they're copy and pasting from each other to get ad revenue.
I mean, I knew you would have been
like tired.
I knew you would be pissed the day when I told you that a libertarian meme account that I follow had taken a screenshot from you. I was like, Mary would hate that.
Yeah, now they're engagement farming off of me. That violated my non-aggression principle.
You want to know how I know that like the internet it's all that now is like when Thomas Massey says to Donald Trump like I ain't reading all that. Sorry that happened to you.
Oh.
Or, like, and I'm like,
oh,
sorry.
That pained me.
I'm
that
like,
pained me.
I'm like,
to my
bro.
core.
I'm like, bro. I wanna give you the pass because I do think that you got some strong principles, but you don't get to be the intellectual and then use that one. You can either be the intellectual or you can be the meme lord. You can't be both. It's like okay, so there was one the other day where the Gavin Newsom account was like, it was like Republicans are descending upon California to look for fraud, and his account tweeted like, we'll make sure Grindr is ready. And I'm like, first of all, like, by your own rules, you guys are the moral busybodies. So now we have to ask the question whether does that mean being gay is a bad thing? Which is like, it only works if you are not.
Straight.
You have to be unencumbered by the moral question for it to be funny. But if you have to work, it was like when somebody on one of the New Year's broadcasts said like the best place to find a man is like in the women's locker room, and then that person got in trouble. It's like if you are part of a group that lives on the premise that there is a moral superiority to your worldview that has everything to do with some form of political correctness, then you don't get to live in both worlds. You get to the only way you get to live in both worlds is if you live it the whole time. Right. Yeah. The tone that Newsom's social media interns have taken as of late is quite puzzling. Yeah, it's very well. They feel like the way to do it is to try and be edgy, and they can't. Right now, I do see some Instagram memes that are very. I don't know if I'd call them edgy, but they're very. Like, did you see the ones that it was like when your husband just died, but you have to defend the world heavyweight title, and it was Erica Kirk at the Turning Point event because there's all the fireworks going off and all of that stuff. Okay, they have left themselves on both sides open to being memed by people who are either heterodox or basically like chaotic neutral and don't really care one way or the other whether you're left or right. They're gonna meme you either way. That's what I saw in the Charlie Kirk brain rot memes from like late last year until now. Yeah. There are conservatives who think that those brain rot memes are like mocking Charlie Kirk, but that's a misinterpretation. I think those are people who are basically, as you said, chaotic neutral. They're apolitical. They're just making fun of the absurdity of it all. Yeah. Shane H. Wilder said, I saw a stat that less than 30% of people buying physical media are actually listening to or watching it talk about posers. Well, yeah, those are like the people who collect vinyl who don't have a record player. What it is, no, it's not that. What it is a entertainment lover's version of being a prepper. You're waiting for the internet to go out, so you're stocking up on DVD players and Blu-rays. Out here, there are amazing like thrift stores and like flea markets you can go to where you can get DVDs for $1.
But hold up. What is a DVD going to do for you when the electrical grid goes down?
Well, I think they're thinking more the internet goes out. Like,
internet, but nothing else? That would be awesome.
It's like there's a reason why I don't use like an internet-based like music player on my phone. Like my music, like the way I listen to music is not tethered to the internet. Just because sometimes my service sucks, anyways, when I'm not connected to Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
So.
Well, you can download stuff on Spotify, but it doesn't guarantee that you have it because they can always take it off of the platform. Nothing is guaranteed to you, and you have to pay in order to have the ability to download content on Spotify.
Yeah, I ain't doing that. All right, guys, before we go, would you hit the like button on this video, please, and subscribe to the channel if you are new here and you have not subscribed here yet already. Please and thank you. Do share the video out with everybody, comment on stuff, and again, like the video. It helps us out a ton. Thank you. Mary, where can we find you?
You guys can send me validation on Instagram at Mary Archived, or you can send me hate on X. That is also Mary Archived, and help me get TikTok famous. That is also Mary Archived. I feel really good about how this episode went. No crazy tech issues. Thank you to Saint Isidore and Saint Clair, I guess.
Are we gonna have
for your intercession.
We're gonna have to pray before every episode.
Yeah, this is going to become a tradition for us, I guess.
All right. Guys, if you want to follow me, I am on Instagram and on X at Brett Dasovic on both of those platforms. This show is here normally 5 days a week, Monday through Friday, 3 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, which is, of course, noon Pacific. We have been back on a regular schedule. Tomorrow, all things going according to plan, which they don't always do. Me and Mikey Harlow are going to be on here live at 3 p.m. Should be a lot of fun. I'm sure we will get into some great topics. If you want to listen to the audio version of this podcast, we are on Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts, Pandora, and Spotify. If you would like to listen rather than just watch this show, you can rate and review on Apple Podcasts and on Spotify, which is another great way to help the channel out. If you want to follow us on social media, we are on Twix at PopCulture_show, Facebook at Pop Culture Crisis, Instagram at Pop Culture Crisis Pod. Remember, me and Mikey will be here tomorrow, and Mary will be back with us live on Friday. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Later, everybody.
Bye.